Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over little Catherine's rapture dream and God's message. Now, a lot of people think the dream failed, and I did too, because of one main particular part of the dream about October 10th. But actually, the dream is spot on. And if you listen to the dream and then dissect it, go back to the word and listen or read certain parts of her dream, the majority of this dream seems like she is talking about what happens after the rapture, okay? Because she is giving a lot of detail from her 9-10-year-old perspective about what things look like to her. As she even said at one point in the video that the creatures were looking like Harry Potter creatures. And then when you go into the book of Revelation and even read or listen through the audio portion, it is some weird looking creatures that are coming up out of these pits once these seals are broken. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to put some up on the screen because I already wrote these down and I typed them out. So I'm not going to go over everything in the video. I'm going to go over some points that I found kind of interesting. At the 11-minute mark, 47-second mark of the video, she talked about, seems like Revelation 8 and 7. And then at the, I believe the 8-minute mark, at the 9-minute mark, she's talking about Gog and Magog in her dream. We're going to go to all of these points. The 8-minute mark, she's talking about CERN. To me, it sounds like CERN, about some long tube being built from Europe and it trying to touch the sun, but it got burnt. Now, that would trigger the flat earthers. I know I shouldn't even said that just now, but that would prove to their point. We're talking about a little kid's dream too, though, even though God has given it to her. That, well, I told you the sun is closer to the earth than what y'all thought in her dream, because she said there was a long tube like a telescope trying to touch the sun. But for me, that would be CERN. They are blowing also atmosphere disturbance blast, harmonic blast into the atmosphere, trying to create portals. Okay, there's been video of it. They've captured some kind of demon looking face when they've done this. So it's no secret about CERN that they've been trying to get in touch with the other side of life, as it was, because a lot of people, if you just go on YouTube, you can see some of this stuff. So I believe that that's talking about CERN. And then on the 7-minute and 38-second mark, this is very interesting for me, because since the beginning of this year, I've been posting pictures and video of 5G, how bad it is, the radiation, how it breaks you down on the inside of your body and causes coronavirus. And in the NIH, even, I got pictures of that, admitted to this, and they let the article hang out there for 2 days and then snatched it down. So that was a trip why they did that. But I do believe God says that the workers of iniquity, they worketh in the dark, shall be shown in the light. Okay, so that's what I believe God is allowing us to do, is have this information now, to be putting it out, to wake other folks up. Whether you agree or not, we still should be putting it out. Okay, so now look. Revelation 9 is at the, okay, we're talking about 5G zombies. Now, this is going to be backed up before we get to Revelation 9. This is going to be backed up by a medical professional who also just released a video talking about 5G and the nanobites. So it was like just confirmation, everything I've been putting out early this year, along with millions of other folks. Again, God is bringing it all back to the light now, and it's all being exposed. The beast system and the inner workings of the beast system and how it works. So let's get to the little girl's video, okay? And the dream she was given to her on September the 18th. I find this very fascinating as well. When you go back and chew on that meat, see that? That's probably why we don't discern it right off. We're not chewing it. You know, we're looking to chew once or twice. Sometimes you got to keep chewing on it and keep chewing on it. She had the dream on September 18th, so let's get into it.
God. And my mom will help me out if I forget some parts of my dream. Oh yes, and by the way, I'm from Indonesia. So let's start off with the message that I got from God. So on September 18, before I slept, I heard God spoke to me. On October 10, there will be a big disaster. And that night, I had a very long dream, the fourth one of the same dream. And the dream was I saw a big dark blue microchip that went right past by me, my sister, and my mom like this. And it went through the hallway and it landed on my dining table. And from the front door, Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci, and 3 guards came and said we should vaccine these people here. And then we got raptured. It was on a new year and I was in a Zoom class. My teacher said, grade 4, please make a line. And that's how I know I was still in grade 4.
Okay, so let's take a look at these 2 events. Okay. October 10th, there was a disaster in her home country. Okay. We're going to get to you in a minute, Mr. Bill Gates. Okay. There was a disaster October 10th, folks. There was a major flood. That's what the...
Someone needs help customizing and saving.
Let me turn this foolishness down. But that was the major disaster. This was published October the 11th, but there's some on here published October 10th. But this was the flood that hit. Matter of fact, it's in the title, but they just published it. But this is the flood. This was the major disaster that hit them. Okay, so this was spot on. God didn't lie to her. The little girl wasn't lying about this date. She said that the flood was so great, some parts, that it covered all the way up to the top of the buildings. So this was a major disaster that hit Indonesia, okay, on look what date, October 10th, 2020. The video was recorded September 30th, but she had the dream on September 18th. So this part makes it credible, very credible. Okay, so we're not going to believe your time on that. You can do your research on that. Okay, so let's go back to the dream. Now, she said that it was a new year in her country. So let's go to, because we're going to talk about, we're going to break some stuff down. Okay, let me find. Okay, now, this is what she said. Okay, let's go back. It was a new year.
In a Zoom class, my teacher said, grade 4, vaccine these people here. And then we got raptured. It was on a new year, and I was in a Zoom class. My teacher said, grade 4, please make a line. And that's how I know I was still in grade 4. How do you know?
Okay, so not only was it a new year, but it's also a new school year. They go back to school in January. Okay, the first commencement or commences in July and ends in December, while the latter commences in January and ends in June. So their new year, school year, she's going to be going into the 4th grade in January. This is when the rapture, she said, was given to her in her dream. So think about that, folks. We're going to talk about credibility. The disaster that happened was on October 10th, and it was a flood. And guess what? The disaster was actually happening in their country. They had a flood in their country, Indonesia. Okay. I find this all interesting. Let's get back to the dream though. Okay, there is the Indonesian flood. Okay, so let me back this up a little bit. And let's click on this one. Let's show you some more of this flood right quick before we get to the rest of her dream. Because this was a natural disaster. This is an intro. Severe floods in Bali, Jakarta, West Java, Indonesia. Okay, this was October 10th, but it's just now been posted October 15th. Y'all see this? Okay, so okay, God gave it to her. This is, that was a natural disaster. But see, we was looking for it on a global scale. So since it didn't happen on a global scale, since California didn't fall into the ocean, that would have been a global scale disaster. We dismissed this dream, but folks, the dream was spot on. Okay, now let's go to the rest of the little girl's dream.
Because I heard a loud voice of the shofar. It was long and loud.
And then what happened?
And then we were raptured.
What did you see when you were raptured?
I saw tall buildings, clouds, and I go to space.
Did you see other people also get raptured?
Yes.
Can you describe?
So how I saw them being raptured is I was raptured and I saw another country, they were raptured, and I saw another country again and I saw people being raptured again.
After you arrived in space, what did you see?
I saw God and millions of angels and people.
Okay, can you describe how God looks like?
God looks tall and he was big.
Can you see his face?
No.
So what did God say?
God say that you were here on the first rapture.
What happened to your clothes when you arrived on space?
My clothes changed into a white long dress.
Okay, so after you arrived in space, you said you looked down to Earth to see what happened. So what did you see?
I could see thunder, which is 20 times more loud than the usual one. And I could see rain that lasted for weeks. And I could also, after the rain, there was earthquake.
How about flood?
There was flood before the earthquake.
Okay.
And then there was tsunami.
Tsunamis. Okay.
Yes.
So you said you saw lightning strikes cars.
Yes.
And how about airplanes? What did you see?
Airplanes crash because some pilot.
Okay, so now this starts the Great Tribulation. Or not, I'm sorry, not the Great Tribulation of the 3.5 years going out to the end, but I mean, this starts the great and terrible day. Because it's great for the people being pulled out, but terrible for the ones, and this is the other half of that terrible, is the judgment is being poured out on the earth with all these different visions of things happening with the weather. We got volcanoes getting ready to erupt, major ones, earthquake swarms in California, which people think that's getting ready to be the big one. So it's going to cause tsunamis. The weather's getting ready to get it. It's going to be the beginning, okay, of tribulation. So I want to get into another part of her video, folks. We're going to go to the 7-minute mark because she said she saw people as zombies, and we're going to back that up with a medical professional. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video right here and I got to re-record it. So we're going to come back on the 7-minute mark, folks, and check out some more things that have been confirmed. All right, folks, so before we get to the 7-minute mark, let me reiterate. She said that she saw a rapture at the beginning of her school year, okay, which is in January 2021. And she was doing Zoom class. Well, guess what else is scheduled to launch 2021? The Great Reset, which they've been doing all kind of global economic forums and all kind of meetings. This is what they plan on launching. Hardcore, the B system, which is already here. Forced inoculation. This is what they plan on doing 2021. Okay, so they plan on the U.S. economy to be completely collapsed by then. So they've already been talking about giving us stimulus through Bitcoin money. And we're going to back this little girl up on her seeing slaves and weird looking people, creature like people in her dreams. Okay, so let's go to the 7-minute mark. I just wanted to reiterate that, okay, because she saw, and this is, man, it's crazy because I've been saying this before I got on this Rapture Watch stuff to begin with. When I was telling people about 5G, I've been telling folks tribulation is coming 2021 with this technology and the medical tyranny, you know, that they've been promoting for months. Okay, so it's coming in 2021. Start the new year. So let's go back. Let me skip up to her dream of 7. Let's see, we got to get to the 7-minute mark. I'll start right here.
You said you saw fake news to cover up about the rapture. So what was the news?
Before the people became zombies, they could tap their phone like this, and the phone would go out like that. And then the news was there was like UFOs, alien abductions, and Christians killing themselves.
Okay, so before those people with the vaccine and with the chip, before they became zombies, they could just tap their arms and the mobile phone just appear on the air.
Yes.
They could read news from over there.
Yes. All the zombies who were controlled by a remote control.
And you said that finally they got some kind of disease.
Yes, they got SARS all of.
So she said they were controlled by remote control. Talking about technology that was in the movie. What was that movie that was just made? It was a remake of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie. Anyway, the dude could tap his hand and the phone would pop up. And the chick from, I just cannot think of those movies right now, but they are just so fresh. But anyway, you know, has life been imitating art or art imitating life? But anyway, that's backed up by this lady. We're going to talk about 5G now. Okay, so let's listen to what she has to say.
Everything, it would be the end of privacy, the end of freedom. And more concerning is that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on March 26, 2020, applied for a patent number 060606, to take that biometric data, give you a barcode, and connect each of us to cryptocurrency so that we would become literally slaves to the system. Like everything, it would be the end of privacy, the end of freedom, because who gets the data? Who uses the data? And what do they do with it? So this patent to connect the vaccinated to cryptocurrency, making all humans a commodity, is extremely concerning. And everyone should be concerned, given that this is a virus from which 99.9% of people recover. So I would ask, why do we need anything like this? Because it goes far beyond those pandemics of old, smallpox and so on. This is very different. The plan here is to vaccinate the entire world. And the narrative that we're being sold is things will not go back to normal until everyone is vaccinated. Vaccinated with what? A transfection thing that we've never seen before. And by the way, once those nanoparticles go in, there's no detoxing from them. There's no getting them out of there. They combine with your DNA, and you're suddenly programmable. And with the proposed 5G networks, the body would be an antenna where you could be controlled from outside of yourself. That's kind of worst case scenario.
Did you hear what she just said? Let's go back. This is mind-blowing for me. Let's go back to Catherine's dream. Okay, let's back that thing up just a little bit.
Abductions and Christians killing themselves.
Okay, so before those people with vaccine and with the chip before they became zombies, they could just tap their arms and the mobile phone just appear on the air.
Yes.
And they could read news from over there.
Yes. All the zombies who were controlled by a remote control.
And you said that finally they got some kind of disease.
Yes, they got sores all over their bodies, and when they puffed, it was blood. I saw a tube in Europe, somewhere in Europe, and it was also made by Europeans. And I saw the tube go to space, so it was so long until it got to space, and it reached the sun, and after it melted, and the tube on top, it was smaller than the bottom one.
Now that sounds like a telescope. But let me go here real quick, because CERN, for a long time, she also said she saw flying cars shooting missiles at people that wasn't taking the vaccine. And that's a military drone, by the way. Okay, there's the Great Global Reset. I thought I had the CERN. Here we go, right here. Okay, CERN, for a long time, if you guys don't know who CERN is, they've been blasting different frequencies in the air, okay, trying to get in touch with other dimensions, and they've been doing that, and things have been caught on camera. So they're another demonic scientific project over there in Europe. So, no matter of fact, okay, here's their statue on the outside of their premises. Okay, that's demonic. Okay, yeah, I mean, those of you that know about CERN, if you don't, look them up. You know, they're not of God. Okay, that's just clear. So the little girl was right. So let's go back and listen to a little bit more.
So the tube was a type of a building.
Yeah, so it got in like this. I could see Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci, and the president of France holding a frame of one eye. A picture from one eye.
Okay,
Well, that's the frame of the Illuminati. Okay, so France, they are a part of the UN, and been a member since 1945, 3 years before Israel became a nation again. So I didn't, if you can go deeper than that, look into that.
what about flying cars?
I could see flying cars that shoot bombs to people that don't use vaccine.
So who drove the flying cars?
No one drove the flying cars, but it was controlled in the control center.
And then you saw Israel. What did you see in Israel?
I could see Israel with war, so Israel was in war.
So that's Gog and Magog, okay, which is that is also in Revelation. I thought I had that written down. But she's speaking of Gog and Magog. So some of this dream, I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm going to go through a couple more minutes of it. But so far, it's spot on. There's nothing in the dream that has happened that didn't happen, she said. And then her dream of future things to come, which is spiritually how I kind of felt about us being snatched out of the way right before they try to push forced inoculation on us. Okay, that's what I feel spiritually, I'm telling you. But the little girl is saying the same thing.
And I could see two people in Jerusalem preaching.
Those are the two witnesses. Okay, and they were also raptured up after they were raised up from the dead after Satan had killed them. So those are the two witnesses she's speaking of. That's also in Revelation as well. So, matter of fact, let me pause. Let me go find that. Okay, so we're going to go to what she saw in her dream. Two people. So, wait a minute. Let me see. Let's go back. Reconfirm. She's speaking of future things.
And I could see two people in Jerusalem preaching. The temple.
Okay, and she also said the temple had not been built yet, but it was halfway built. So, what she says she saw is Revelation 11, verse 3, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days. Okay. And clothed with sackcloth. All right. So they're going to preach the latter half of the Great Tribulation. Okay. There are 2 olive trees and 2 candlesticks standing before the God of earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire will proceed out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. So those are the 2 witnesses in Jerusalem also. So that's also something yet to happen. God gave her in the dream. So let's go back.
Temple was halfway done.
Okay, and you saw that earth was red. What happened?
Because the sun seems so close to it, but the sun is still on its spot.
How about the planet? What's the planet that you saw?
I saw Neptune. It was still on its spot, but it looks very close to Earth. So if you're in Earth, you could see Neptune very close.
Now, at that point, folks, you can Google that information, and Google. You can also YouTube that. There are other planets being seen in our solar system with the naked eye, you know. So, but the main part about this video was October 10th. And October 10th, God gave her a dream that a disaster was coming, but he was giving that dream for her and her country because they did have a natural disaster over there. And this video right here, guys, if you haven't seen this video, talking about 5G, talking about the nanobites, I mean, everything that I've been hollering and screaming since the beginning of this year about 5G and how it was going to program you, because there's just a ton of information out there on it. Let me see if I got some stuff pulled up. I'm not going to beleaguer the time with it, but y'all need to check that video out if you can find it. But so far, the little girl's dream was accurate. October 10th, there was a disaster, and it was in her homeland. Okay. I said I was going to go over Bill Gates, but I ain't going over it. I mean, we already know he's about population control. He admitted it with vaccines and health insurance he was going to use to kill the rest of the planet. But man, her dream was spot on, folks. They had a major flood October 10th in her home country of Indonesia, and it was terrible. So that was correct. There was nothing about her dream that wasn't wrong. And she said she saw Rapture at the New Year school year. Okay. And her, you know, because that's when they go to school. Luciferase is in the digital tattoo chip. I mean, man, this is terrible. Let me see if I can go back and find when they go to school right quick, because it does start in January before I end this video. I don't think I can get to it. No. It's the Great Reset. No, I got too many things open. But folks, go through, chew on this video, man. Check this video out and see what else you can decode out of this video. Okay. Because so far it's been spot on. Disaster, the flood. But then she's speaking of future stuff that hasn't happened yet for January. Okay. We all know about the Great Global Reset. Forced inoculation is coming. And then she says she saw Rapture right before. So that's the true meaning of harpazo. Deuces.